Okay, so what is the common law and civil law system? Well, the common law system is generally based upon the interpretation of rules. And in the U.S. system, that means judicial interpretation of the rules that exist. So we have codified laws, statutes, regulations that we follow. But when we are called to task or in dispute of those laws and we find ourselves before trial, a judicial interpretation of those rules becomes actually part of the law. It becomes a binding part. So the role of the judge in interpreting the law is actually also the role of a lawmaker in providing greater detail or greater explanation of how the law applies. And that opinion from the appellate judiciary provides something called precedent to us, that their decision guides future decisions by that or lower courts when using, applying, or addressing this law. So that's the common law system. Again, it relies on judicial interpretation of rules to expand upon the codified laws. The civil system, on the other hand, puts far less weight or emphasis on judicial interpretation. It relies more heavily on the statutory law or codification of the rules themselves rather than an individual court's interpretation. So there's far less precedential value or no, in many cases, precedential value to the judicial interpretation of those rules. Rather, like I say, the individual court will rely more upon the rule and maybe the legislative or statutory history of that rule outside of the judiciary. So those are the primary differences between the civil law and the common law system. Throughout the United States, we are primarily a common law system, okay, with a bit of civil law system interspersed in select jurisdictions, primarily in Louisiana. But many other countries in the world with whom the United States trades or does international business rely on the civil law system. So it's important to understand the difference and how different governing bodies approach the interpretation of law as a common law system or a civil law system.